So this is week one of getting my agency to $100,000 per month before the end of 2024. So it's now the 12th of January of 2024. And what I want to do in these videos is keep myself accountable and give advice, or more like share my stories, which hopefully can be of advice to anyone else. And what I'll share is what I found the most useful during the last few weeks, and I'll share that with you. And I'll try and release one of these per week. Sometimes I might do one here and there during the week as an extra video, but I'm going to aim for one a week at a minimum. So I'm not starting from scratch. Just for awareness, I have an agency with 20 clients, which does sound like a lot, and it has been a lot of work to get here. We're getting paid between 20 and 30 grand per month, and the reason why I say that is because we have a few clients on performance, which actually is something I'm moving away from. And so our income can be quite varied, but I'll say at a minimum we're making 20 grand per month, and yeah, so we have clients making from 20, 30 grand a month all the way to 200,000. No, not 200,000, 300,000 per month. So our clients kind of vary quite a lot, and yeah, and we've got really cool systems. We've got a team of 7 full-time, and then a few part-time as well. We're actually making some changes at the moment to the team structure and things like that. But I want to cover the last few weeks and the kind of things I've learned. One of the things that I've learned, one of the main things that I learned is really, at least in the last year, and I think about this a lot, is your time is so valuable that you've got to be so careful about how you use it. And so a lot of the times we want to do cool things, like let's say if I was starting an agency today, you want to spend so much time building a website, you want to be like, oh, let's get it perfect, blah, blah. And there's no such thing as a perfect website. And I've seen people build really shitty websites and actually getting clients from it. It's normally more about the content that you have. And the most important thing I found is the ability to actually show people you know what you're talking about and to provide value. So what I want to do, just break down, and I'll keep this first video short, but the main thing I want to talk about are the biggest lessons I found. And I always say this to anyone that messages me on Twitter or anything like that. If you want to look me up on Twitter, it's the Daniel Felipe. If you're not watching the video here. But the main thing I've learned is so many people talk about tactics, or there's two things. So first of all, there's a lot of people talking shit online, making things up, or echoing other people's content. That's one thing you have to be careful of. So whenever you're learning, be really careful about all these people that all they do is echo content. They have no deep knowledge in a subject, and all they're doing is they see similar tweets, they repurpose them or adjust them, and they write them as their own. Same happens with Instagram, all social media content, right? You have to really be able to identify who the true experts are and learn from them. That's the first thing. The second thing is, whenever you can, pay people to learn from them. So if you're just starting out, you want to start an agency, the fastest way for you to grow we don't have to say silly numbers, but the fastest way for you to replace your salary right now is to pay someone that's already doing that. Okay, it's really simple. So let's say you know someone online that's doing 5,000 per month in, let's say 7,000, and somehow they've got 50% profit margin, and they're keeping half of that. They're keeping 3,500. I don't know what number I said, but let's say 5,000. They make 5,000. They keep 2,500. That's the salary in most places, right? Some other countries, like if you go to Asia, that's worth a lot of money. But you would pay them. That's what I'd recommend. You pay them, learn from them how they did that, and just repeat it, right? The tricky thing here is identifying that they are who they say they are, and then actually making that money, and they're not talking shit. So that's the tricky thing there. So that's the advice I'd give. And I say that because was it this week? A few weeks ago, I paid someone $400 for 1 hour of their time just to identify, and that's not that expensive when you look at the grand scheme of things. But that was just to identify how they're running their agency. I found a problem with our agency, and I had a big clue what was going wrong. And the problem was that we were using people ineffectively and hiring the wrong people at the wrong time, or hiring people at the wrong time. So what I mean by that is we were hiring a lot of email marketers when we should have been hiring designers. And email marketers cost a lot more than designers normally. Okay? And so what I paid for was not invaluable, it was very valuable. And what I paid for was to identify that this person was doing around 50% profit margin, whereas my agency is doing about 15 to 20%. So we're doing about half is profit margin. And what that means is if you're doing 20K, you would get to keep 10K if you had a 50% profit margin. That's amazing, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you get to keep all that, but that's kind of the margin that he was operating at. And so that's the difference between keeping 10 grand at the end of the month or about 5 to 6 grand at the end of the month. So it's a massive difference, right? It's that $400 now I'm applying the advice has basically made me an extra $4,000 a month. So I just made 10x per month for 1 hour of his time. That's how valuable that was. And that was amazing. So that's the advice I want to leave here for this week, at least the advice that I've learned. Use it, don't use it if you like. But a lot of things in life, even if you hear people like Alex Hormozy, a lot of what's valuable in life is finding frameworks, finding ways of doing things that actually, if you apply it to all aspects of your life, they'll benefit everything, right? Using your time wisely, for example, is key to that. Learning how to use resources valuably is key to that, right? So here's what I've learned more or less in the last, there's a lot more, but I want to cover it. I keep it simple, keep it short in this first video. And I will fire more videos away. If you have any questions, write them down and I'll answer them. I've got a lot of questions from different places like Twitter that I want to cover, and we got from clients and things like that. But this video is mostly for just the update on where we are. So we're around 20K out of the 100K we want to reach this year. So we've got a lot of growth to do, a lot of clients to get, but we're going to get there. And that's it for the first video. Thank you so much for checking it out.